Yo, what's good YouTube? Zamcrow here, aka Scoop, back with the CPC Season 7, Week 1. Well, CPC, we're back with the CPC, and we've got Season 7, Week 1 here. And we're facing off against the Brighton Bewears, coached by Evan. I've actually faced Evan before in the past, back when we were both what I would consider beginner levels players in the draft league format. So here we are years later, and in a more high stakes league, better competition, more competitive, so on and so forth. And we're facing off again, and he's got a fucking scary ass squad. He's got Kieran Black, which is one of the best Pokemon in the format, in my opinion, easily top 5. It's just so good at what it does. It's so fat. It has access to Roost, Substitute, and then being unwallable depending on your set, which is insane. He has a Zapdos Mega Aerodactyl, so one of the best ways to drop a Zapdos is with Mega Aerodactyl, and he actually has both. He has Alakazam, Crook, and Metagross, which are 3 Mons that appreciate being on the same squad. He's got Gastrodon and Virizion. Virizion and Kieran Black are 2 potential Z-move users. He has the Aromatisse, Quillfish, and the Misdreavus, or Misdreavus, whatever it's called. Not really a huge threat, but Quillfish is. Aromatisse could potentially be. I don't see it coming, but it could come. It could be like a Trick Room variant with Metagross or Gastrodon or something like that. And then he's got things like Life Orb Kyurem, Life Orb Zapdos, Life Orb Alakazam, Choice Scarf or Choice Band. Crook, I don't see a Choice Crook coming. I do have Sceptile, which can't get an item knocked off and resist the Earthquake. And then he would like to switch up moves versus something like Grin or Azu, so on and so forth. And having Levitate on Bronzong makes things difficult for him. So I don't really see Crook coming as a way to be like a Choice Scarf variant. Could be a Life Orb variant, could be a Band variant or something like that, but I don't see it being like a Scarf variant or anything like that. Mega Aerodactyl is like a must bring in my opinion. It's his best way to revenge kill Mega Sceptile outside of like burning Sashes and like Choice Scarf Kyurem or something like that. But yeah, definitely could there's different ways we could both approach the game. I decided to approach the game in more of a balanced team build or structure this time. I have like 3 defensive Mons and then 2 very offensive Mons and then a Choice Scarf Mon there for like a insurance policy versus his fastest Pokemon, such as Mega Aerodactyl, being able to outpace a Choice Scarf, Mega Alakazam, or Crocodile, or so on and so forth. It's really nice with Greninja. And then we've actually got Trick Room on Bronzong, which is really nice. Oh, we'll hop into the builder here. Our first bring in this match is going to be Clefable. We've got a pretty standard variant here with Moonblast and Knockoff. Knockoff is just there to get rid of items, not really to do significant damage or anything like that. Break in like a Shuka on Metagross to switch in, or popping an item off, knocking a Life Orb or leftovers off of a Zapdos or something like that could be nice. And then we've got Wish Protect there. It's pretty self-explanatory, not too much to say about it. We are max HP, max defense, so that we can take Iron Head from Kyurem, as long as it's not like Life Orb or Band. Or if he's got like the Corkscrew Crash, that'll bop us. Protect is nice to scout for that as well. And then like Kieran Black, we have a dedicated answer to that thing in this matchup, so we're not too threatened by it. I mean, it is a huge threat, but Clefable's not hugely threatened by it. Like Kieran's not going to switch in on Clefable and then take a Moonblast and then try to OHKO me or anything like that, unless he goes for the Z move, obviously. But yeah, Clefable's really nice for Virizion. Can come in on close combats repetitively. Nice for Crook as well, like Moxie variants. If it was to get a knockout and had a +1, and it was a Choice Scarf, Earthquake, and Sceptile was in range or something like that, then Clefable could come in and eat those up and knock it out with the Moonblast. So yeah, we can move on to Mamoswine now. For Mamoswine, we've got an Icicle Plate variant with the Thick Fat. Like we're not running Stealth Rocks or anything like that, so Oblivious didn't make too much sense. And Thick Fat could come in handy if he's got like a Hidden Power Ice or a Heat Wave Zapdos. And then we've got a very complex EV spread over here. As you can see, we have 124 EVs in attack with an adamant nature. This simulates a max attack jolly mammal swine, so we have the power of a jolly max attack mammal swine without all the extra speed. And what this allows us to do is prioritize some bulk. We're able to run 160 EVs in HP, 12 in defense, 36 in special defense. We can take 2 bullet punches from like a non-offensive Metagross. We can click, or we can take Heat Wave into Heat Wave from Zapdos. If we was to switch in on a Heat Wave, we could take it and then take the following Heat Wave, thanks to our thick compatibility. Ice Shard with the Icicle Plate's really nice to beat down or knock out a weakened Mega Aerodactyl, which is really nice for the squad. Mega Sceptile appreciates that so much. Getting a little bit of chip on Kieran Black could come in handy as well. Alakazam, Crocodile, getting Ice Shard chip on all these mons is really, really nice. Earthquake into Icicle Crash or Icicle Crash into Earthquake will always knock out a physically defensive Gastrodon or a specially defensive Gastrodon. Quillfish, after an Intimidate, if he's not Shuka Berry, Earthquake is a guaranteed 2-hit KO. If he's not Shuka Berry and he doesn't have the Intimidate on me, then it's a guaranteed knockout anyway. If I'm at neutral and he has no Shuka Berry, it's a guaranteed knockout from that range. Metagross, it could be a Shuka Berry variant. I do expect Metagross to come with maybe a Shuka Berry. It could be problematic. It's a nice switch into Clefable, albeit it's not very nice versus like a Calm Mind Flamethrower variant or something like that. And Endeavor's really nice because I can live, say Zapdos is going for, there's mind games between Roost and, you know, him roosting and attacking my Earthquake or my Icicle Crash. So I'm already weakened, so I can just spam Endeavor and I don't have to worry about the mind games. I'm always going to land my Endeavor. It's always going to bring him down to, you know, the same HP as me, so on and so forth. And it can be really, really nice. And we are speed creeping a Adamant Metagross. Adamant max speed Metagross. Everything else is pretty much not necessary. I guess we do have a little bit of a creep on a no investment Zapdos, which is pretty nice. But outside of that, Metagross was the goal there. But yeah, we can move on to Greninja now and talk about it. For Greninja, we have a Choice Scarf variant. This thing, you know, with even with the modest nature, we were able to. I felt like if he was to run a Choice Scarf Crocodile or Alakazam or Zapdos or even Virizion or anything like that, he wouldn't creep to be faster than anything outside of like Scarf Mamoswine, or like he would not try to outpace a Scarf Greninja with any of his Scarfers because Scarf Greninja naturally outspeeds all of his Scarfers. So I felt like if I invested enough to outspeed a Scarf Zapdos, I felt like that point of speed would be the best case scenario, and I could do that with a modest nature. So I'm able to run modest max special attack Choice Scarf Greninja here with the U-turn, so I don't have to lock myself into anything when he has things like Gastrodon, Quillfish, and Virizion still relatively healthy or anything like that. And then we've got Hydro Pump, which can be a nice revenge killer for the Mega Aerodactyl, Crocodile, a weakened Metagross, Aromatisse, so on and so forth. Dark Pulse, I had to run some kind of stab that Kieran Black didn't resist. That's the reason for Dark Pulse here. And I didn't necessarily want to run Dark Pulse, but I had to just for the Kyurem. If it's weakened enough, I could either knock it out with Dark Pulse or potentially get a Dark Pulse flinch into a Dark Pulse knockout, so on and so forth. And then we've got, and it hits Gastrodon better than Extra Sensory and Hydro Pump. Obviously, if it's got Storm Drain, Hydro Pump's is going to put me in a bad position. So Dark Pulse is nice for the Gastrodon as well, and can knock out a weakened Metagross, or if it's not like a Culver Berry or anything, I can just knock it out straight up. And Alakazam, if it's a Choice Sash, if it's a Focus Sash variant, and I've got it broken, then I can knock it out with the Dark Pulse as well. It's also a neutral hit for the Quillfish, so that I don't have to lock myself into extra sensory. However, if it's like Quillfish, Virizion, and like a weakened Mega Aerodactyl left, I can lock myself into extra sensory and win the game from there. Torrent boosted Hydro Pumps do a lot to his entire team outside of Kieran Black, Gastrodon, and Virizion. Even does quite a bit to Quillfish, which is really nice. So yeah, looking forward to that. And that's going to be it for Greninja, and we can move on to Bronzong. I'm running a Cobra Berry this week as well because Crocodile could potentially Pursuit Trap me. I don't want to be Pursuit Trapped, and I don't want, like, if he, I want to always be able to, like, if I click Stealth Rocks and he goes for a knockoff, my Cobra Berry pops. If I click Stealth Rocks and he clicks Taunt, then I can switch out on the following turn and keep my Cobra Berry, unless he pursuits, obviously. But yeah, this thing gives me rocks, and then it gives me like Trick Room. So if we come down to something like Alakazam, Mega Aerodactyl, and Kieran Black, and I'm able to survive like a Mega Aerodactyl Stone Edge or Wing Attack or whatever it goes for, Crunch maybe, Alakazam Shadow Ball, whatever it goes for, and I'm able to set up a Trick Room, and I've got Stealth Rocks up, and Alakazam Sash has been broken, then I can sweep with Gyro Ball. Knocks out the Kieran Black, knocks out the Mega Aerodactyl, knocks out the Alakazam from full. I am Brave Nature, max attack, so I can put the power out there. I thought about running a weakness policy, but the Cobra Berry was too good to pass up, especially if he was like a Crunch variant for Mega Aerodactyl. It would be really, really nice to be able to survive a Crunch. Like if I'm at like 65%, he comes in, goes for the Crunch, and it brings me down thanks to my Cobra Berry only like 30% or something. I can potentially set up a Trick Room and then Gyro Ball and win the game. Or, you know, I just wanted to bring something a little bit different. I thought Trick Room was really nice, and a Brave Nature Bronzong is something that Kieran Black, Zapdos, none of these Mons can take advantage of. And if we was to get into a Zapdos roosting on me, I could click Earthquake and potentially negate him from doing that. Unless he's like max HP, max defense, then Earthquake still kind of bounces off. But yeah, we can move on to Snorlax. So, Snorlax, this thing is here for one reason mainly, but it has the ability to Pursuit Trap a weakened Metagross or an Alakazam just to break a potential Sash, or potentially knock it out. Return is here for Stab. He doesn't have a solid resist outside of Mega Aerodactyl and Metagross, which aren't doing much back to me, and I do have Bronzong and Clefable to also check those two Mons. And this thing here, it's mainly here because of Kieran Black. Kieran Black is a monster. And I've got the Thick Fat ability, which doesn't even matter versus a Kieran Black. None of my abilities matter. Basically, Thick Fat and Levitate on Mamoswine and Bronzong, they do not matter. And this thing, it's so fat that it still gives me a check to Kieran Black. I had to maximize my defense at 252 with a Bold Nature and put 216 EVs into HP, 40 in special defense, and I was able to check every variant of Kieran Black except for being able to check like a Sub-Zero Slammer or like a Dragonium Z into Dragon Claw or Ice Beam respectively. Like one of those two nukes of a Z move, like the Outrage Z Dragon move or the Ice Z move with the Freeze Shock Sub-Zero Slammer or whatever. Those are the only two ways that the Kieran can break Snorlax. Granted, I can't do over 30% without investment, or 33, about 25 to 35% with return is a nice range there, with no investment. Unless he's max HP, then I'm doing a little bit less, but I should always break a sub. And I have Rest Talk, so I get, like, I can use Sleep Talk as many times until, like, I can use Return as many times as Sleep Talk will let me, and I can use Return until my PP is gone, so that's really nice. Same for Pursuit, and then Rest. Like, this thing's going to be really nice with leftovers and wish support from Clefable. Same thing for Bronzong, getting that wish support's really nice. But I do expect my opponent to think Bronzong would be my designated Kyromancer, and that's or Clefable or a combination of the two, which is why I've decided to use Snorlax. And it was like the best case scenario, and it gives me a Pursuit Trapper for Metagross and Alakazam, which is really nice. But we can move on to Sceptile. There's no way that somebody's going to skip out on the opportunity to run Modest Mega Sceptile when the opportunity is given. I have the opportunity in this matchup. With a Modest Nature, I still outpace up to Alakazam. I am 3 points higher, just in case he is speed creeping my Greninja and my Sceptile to be speed creeping a Mega, or excuse me, not Mega, but regular Alakazam. If he is speed creeping, my Mons expecting me to be 1 point faster than his Alakazam, I will outpace his Mons, which is really nice. And I have really powerful Modest Giga Drains and Dragon Pulses, which is really nice. So sub Giga Drain is really nice on its own right. I do force switches in this matchup. Aromatisse, Gastrodon, they don't want to take Leaf Storms, Giga Drains, so on and so forth. Kieran Black doesn't want to take a Dragon Pulse to the face, so I do expect it to switch out unless it's Revealed Choice Scarf and it's locked into Ice Beam or something, or a Dragon move. But yeah, sub Giga Drain's really nice. Dragon Pulse is my hardest hitting move in this match. And I thought about running Hidden Power Fire or the Earthquake for the Metagross, but despite how, like, I've talked about it so far, I ultimately decided that it wouldn't come and he would be better off bringing Crocodile. And so I decided to bypass Earthquake and actually go for Endeavor. What Endeavor allows me to do is, if I'm weakened enough or if I've got a sub up, I can keep subbing and then Endeavor something down to be as low as my HP, such as Virizion or Zapdos could be problematic. I think Zapdos and Virizion are the two big ones that could be problematic for my entire team, but mostly are the two best things that I can Endeavor down, in my opinion. But yeah, it's going to be the squad, and we can hop into the replay, and we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are with the replay, and my opponent chooses to bring the Quillfish, Zapdos, Metagross, Alakazam, Virizion, and the Kieran Black. So the first thing I noticed right off the top was no Gastrodon and no Mega Aerodactyl. That was really nice. Also noticed he decided to bring the Metagross over the Crocodile. Looking at his team, it looks really good together. These six look good together, but just not exactly what I expected. But nonetheless, we are prepared for all scenarios, and it shouldn't be too big of an issue. He does have two potential Z-move users, so I've got to scout and figure out which one is the Z-move user. One could potentially be a Scarfer, one could be a Z-move user. Alakazam is more than likely going to be a Sash variant, so they can always come in and take a hit and then fire off a shot, such as picking off a Mamoswine or a Mega Sceptile, being able to live on its Sash and throw off a powerful attack or something like that. I do expect it to be a Sash variant. Zapdos looks to be problematic. I think it can be an issue for like Greninja Dark Pulse or Dragon Pulse from Sceptile. I do think it's going to be a Pulse. It's going to bounce these pulses off of them. But yeah, I guess we can hop into the replay. He's got a couple potential leads. I think he could lead with Metagross or the Quillfish to get up Stealth Rocks or Toxic Spikes, or just Quillfish to get off a nice Intimidate and taunt my potential Stealth Rockers, being Mamoswine and Bronzong. So we're going to lead off. My rocker is Bronzong. I could lead off with it, or I could just it was, how can I say this? It was dependent on what he would. Mamoswine was probably my best lead here. It can Earthquake a potential Metagross with his Stealth Rocks, pop it Sugar Berry as he gets rocks up, and then knock him out on the following turn. Or if he was to lead off with the Quillfish and got an Intimidate off, he would be a little bit scared, but he could click Taunt, predicting me to click Stealth Rocks. Mamoswine isn't my Stealth Rocker, so I would get a free Earthquake off. And I thought about Earthquaking right now, anyway, just to get some chip on this Kieran Black. But if he was like the Z Sub-Zero Slammer or something like that, I wanted to scout for that and go immediately into my Bronzong. It would not knock me out. It would do around half if he was the free shock. But here we're going to go into our Bronzong. We're going to see if he's got the taunt and try to get our rocks up. He doesn't reveal taunt, and we do get our rocks up. And now we've got our rocks up, and we're in an okay position. We've got our rocks up, and we're not too weakened. We've taken 25% from the liquidation. We can click Earthquake here and see what he wants to go for, as he reveals Spikes. So we got a rock up, but he got 1 layer of spike up. I'm gonna hard switch into Mamoswine, expecting him to get another layer of spike up. I wasn't going to be able to prevent 3 layers unless I went hard into my Mamoswine, and that preventing a 3rd layer could be the difference in the entire game. So it's nice to get in here before that happened. So yeah, he did reveal Shikaberry already, so we should be able to knock him out here, but he is a little bit faster than us, so that's going to be okay. My opponent told me after the match that he did speed creep a Mamoswine that was speed creeping an Adamant Metagross, so that came in handy for him there. He was able to get some nice chip damage off versus us and weaken our Mamoswine here. So Mamoswine's really weakened, and if he's able to get rocks up, I can't come in on rocks and spikes at this point, and I don't have the best switch into Kieran Black. Like, I built my Snorlax to be able to, I don't want Snorlax to come in on a Z move, and I kind of want to scout his item at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay in here and just click the Ice Shard, see what he wants to go for. And he goes for the Iron Head. And this makes me think, okay, my opponent may be Choice Scarf. He locked himself into Iron Head there. Maybe expecting Clefable. Don't necessarily think he would be expecting Bronzong unless he wanted to bait me and he was like a Life Orb or like a Expert Belt Shadow Claw. So what I can do here is just go into my Snorlax. I did design this thing to be able to 1v1 a Kyurem, as long as it's not like a Home Claws Kyurem or like a setup variant, which I don't think it can be. So I'm just going to spam return here. I don't have a reason to do anything else. Unfortunately, what my opponent can now do is go hard into his Metagross. I don't pack the Earthquake. My hardest move to hit this thing with at this point is Pursuit, and had I pursued there, that would have been a phenomenal play. Had I pursued there on his Metagross double, that would have been phenomenal. But he goes into his Virizion as I go into my Bronzong, which prompts him to go back out into his Metagross. As I'm just going to fire off a Gyro Ball here, it would have did way over half to the Virizion because of its speed. And here I can just click the Earthquake, and we're actually going to be able to 2-hit KO the Metagross. But he's not going to allow that to happen. He's going to go hard into his Zapdos. I'm going to go into my Clefable here and see what this Zapdos wants to do. He goes for the Thunderbolt and reveals to be very, very offensive with a Life Orb. So he's not going to play any sort of games here. He's going to go straight for the Thunderbolt again. He's not even going to roost, which is a good play because if I Moonblast and he got a special attack drop or something like that, it could be problematic for him. So my thought process here is I can go into Sceptile. He's gotten rid of my Clefable, which is unfortunate, but I really didn't need it in the rest of the match. I guess I could have used it for Virizion, but I felt like the rest of my squad should be able to handle Virizion pretty well. Unless it's a Choice Scarf variant, and then I've got to make some things happen so that my Greninja can pick it off. Anyways, bring in my Mega Sceptile here, and the goal was for Zapdos to attack me one more time to break. I'm going for Substitute here, so that he has to break my sub and take another round of Life Orb recoil. And if he didn't break my sub and he decided to roost, then I would be behind the sub. I click Dragon Pulse into his Life Orb recoil, breaking my sub into Dragon Pulse would knock him out. However, it was a roll at that range. I needed like a max roll, so I wanted another round of Life Orb. So I'm going to go for the sub, hoping that he attacks and breaks my sub so that I can knock him out with the Dragon Pulse on the following turn. But he goes hard into his Metagross instead. He goes for the Bullet Punch here because he has to break my sub. But now I don't have a sub up, so I'm not as threatened. He doesn't need to break my sub, and he doesn't need the extra chip on my Sceptile. So he could go for Meteor Mash here, and Bullet Punch won't knock me out anyway, so I can just stay in and knock him out with the Dragon Pulse. But I don't want him to like get a critical hit or anything on a Bullet Punch. I'm going to go out into my Bronzong here as he goes for the Meteor Mash, and he misses. But as you can see, it would have only did 18%, so 18 into 18 wouldn't have been enough to knock me out, and I would have been in range of Zapdos here anyway. But what I can't let this Zapdos do, I can't let Zapdos roost up on me and be back at a reasonable amount of HP. I have to keep clicking Earthquake until he knocks me out. And now he knocks me out, and I can bring in my Mega Sceptile here. I live the round of rocks and spikes, and I can go for the Dragon Pulse here. I thought about going for the Giga Drain there, but if he went hard Virizion to save Zap as just a sack later in the match, I would be in a phenomenal position. So he brings in his Alakazam here, and I thought maybe he was Scarf, but it turns out he's more than likely just going to be a Sash variant, and my Giga Drain does 61%, put me out of range of Shadow Ball. My opponent goes for Shadow Ball, predicting me to maybe save my Mega Sceptile as a sack and catch my Greninja, predicting his Psychic. But I stay in. I could get some chip damage off there on the Alakazam. And now I can just Endeavor down the Virizion as well. So Mega Sceptile putting in the work, weakening the, taking out the Metagross, taking out the Zapdos, weakening, or taking out the Alakazam and weakening the Virizion. So good, so good. And now he has no Virizion. And Virizion was his only way to break Snorlax at this point. So I can just spam return here. I was able to knock out Virizion with the U-turn off of my Greninja. Was able to outpace him as expected, and I can just click return here, return, and see what he wants to keep doing. He decides to keep clicking Fusion Bolt. I suppose that he did some calculations in his head and realized that he couldn't roost-stall me thanks to return. He may have thought that I was a Rest Hawk Brain as well, so there's that. And I had Greninja in the back anyway, so as long as I left him a little bit low, that was the in-game plan there anyway, was to at least leave him a little bit low so that Greninja could pick him off with the Dark Pulse. And we're able to pick up a nice 2-0 victory to start the season, a whole lot better than last season. Here's a fun fact about Season 6 and Season 7. In Week 1, I faced off against a Zapdos. This time we're going to come off with a W, which is really nice, and heading into the rest of the season with some momentum. It's always nice to open the season with a W, but it's even better to close the season with W's. So let's look out for that. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.